Hello, everyone. I'm ZHAO Chuang. Today, we will draw the skull of Stellasaurus in a side view. Stellasaurus had an exaggerated-looking head, and since not many of its fossils have been discovered, we will need to reconstruct the entire skull. Our restoration of this Stellasaurus skull primarily relies on some well-preserved specimens of Styracosaurus. In this drawing, we should highlight several key features. First, its nose might be huge, with a rounded nasal cavity, and the skull might be pretty tall. Additionally, regarding the proportions of this dinosaur's head, the final restoration will reveal that, although the frill portion is relatively short, it has two elongated, rabbit ear-like parietal spikes at the top, making the overall length of the frill appear much longer than the face. Therefore, we should position these elements accurately in the composing stage. Now, let's get started. Compose the picture first. The front is the mouth. Its face roughly extends to this point, and the posterior space is for the frill. Now, begin the drawing with the eye socket. Draw the orbit, its eye socket here, followed by the post-orbital bone, which is the horn above the eye. This dinosaur didn't have prominent brow horns. Instead, there were complex structures, including two bumps and a tiny spike-like horn at the front. Extend the line downward. Draw the part that makes up the jugal bone, and the suture connecting to the front bone is like this. Below is the quadritojugal. Then, there is a small jugal horn. This position likely has a small antebital fenestra that has already degenerated. Slightly indicate it like this. There are two bones here, the upper frontal bone and the lower lacrimal bone. Then, draw its nasal bone forward. It had a huge nostril. The nasal bones of this dinosaur have not been discovered, so we reconstruct this part based on its close relative, the Styracosaurus, shaping it into this rather tall form. Its nasal bones possibly looked like this. Its nasal horn is very long, and its front part is precisely connected in the gap between its premaxilla and the nasal bone. Then, work on the beak on the premaxilla. This entire triangular area is its maxilla, and its upper teeth grow on this bone. We'll draw the teeth later. Then, we move to its mandible. Generally, the mandible of dinosaurs is composed of 3 bones, but for ceratopsians, there are often 4, including the beak at the anterior, a structure also known as the predentary. We first draw the two bones located backward, the surangular and the angular. Then, draw the main part of the mandible, the dentary, with the predentary in front, which has evolved into the beak. Carnivorous dinosaurs or other beakless dinosaurs do not have this bone. Outline the whole dentary like this. Then, draw its frill extending backward. The frill comprises two bones. The one closer to the face is the squamosal, and the upper one is the parietal. The suture between the parietal and the squamosal is here. Next, draw these marginal processes running along the squamosal. Then, those processes on the parietal. Indicate the boundaries between these processes and the skull. A peculiar feature is that the suture between the squamosal and parietal in ceratopsians always ends in the middle of a particular process. Then, draw the two longest parietal spikes. There is another smaller one that curves inward. Next, complete the outline of the frill. This part often features some small protrusions, so we can use a wavy line to indicate them. Then, let's add some volume and texture to the skull. After that, draw its teeth. The teeth of ceratopsians are not very large. Slightly shade this area to make it appear more recessed. Then, draw the epidermal structure of the soft tissue. For this tiny spike, its contour should be emphasized, and the keratinous parts would possibly appear more exaggerated in its life. The wavy lines on the frill might have developed into thicker and sharper structures when alive. Its nasal horn would appear longer in life due to the keratin sheath. The same goes for the parietal spikes at the top of the frill, which would be more extended. Then, we come to these lateral processes. These lower ones can be neglected for now, as we'll draw the neck in this section later. Then, there's its beak, which would be longer in life than the bone appears now. The lower jaw here had thick muscles. Shade this area black. Then, Draw its neck, and back in this position. The underside is located its throat, which can also be colored black. We can fill this part with casual strokes. Then, color these hollow structures black, including the temporal fenestra. The eye socket. The structure inside the nostril, and the gap inside the mouth. Like this, we've finished drawing the skull of Stellasaurus in a side view. Thank you all.